Good day. I'm sorry. Good day. This is Thumbs United. We are working on the Milwaukee Project. It's very exciting. We are finishing up. We are probably going to finish all the color grades for the photos today. So that's going to be good. We, in total, over the past couple of weeks, we will have edited 361 photos. Digital photos. We had 159 film photos that we've done. And after we complete this, we're going to actually start making the episodes and everything. With the digital work, I still have to go back and I'm going through each of the film scans and removing any dust and everything. So I've already done like 4 photographs, and it took me like 20 minutes to do 4 photographs. So that's like, it takes me 5 minutes per photograph, which is pretty good. It was faster than the medium format, and that's for like a number of reasons. Mostly because medium format is double the size, so that's double the chance of getting dust on the image. So you really have to like clean more of the image, where with the 35mm it's so much smaller that just the chances of there being dust on the scanner, and it's usually on the scanner, not the film, is a lot lower, just because the size is smaller. And then the other reason is because the medium format's so big, it kind of has more dust. Not only does it have a higher chance of dust, it covers an area where there could be more dust. It's a slight difference, but what I'm trying to say is that if it does have dust, it usually has a medium to high amount of dust. But let's finish this digital work, and gotta start our music. Develop. Taking a long time. Please don't crash. It's loading slowly. Slowly loading. There we go. That was scary. So the good news is the hard drive I was trying to get to work, it worked this morning and yesterday. This PC was booted into Linux, and I was like, let's see if the hard drive that hasn't been being recognized under Windows works in Linux. And so I plugged it in, and sure enough, it works. Linux found the hard drive fine and loaded it. And it's a funny hard drive. It's not like a RAID box, but it's not a RAID that you're meant to open up and put new hard drives in and out. It's like a pre-configured RAID where you buy it with the hard drives already installed in, and then it combines the 2 hard drives into one, and without any external software or anything. It's all internal hardware. And so you just plug it into the computer, and it thinks it's one big hard drive. And so I got it back in 2012, and at the time that was like the only way you could get 6 terabytes, and like 6 terabytes was like the maximum amount of hard drive you could get. And so they kind of cheated the system and had 2 3 terabyte hard drives, but they're together in a RAID. And so I got it because it had FireWire ports, which are extremely important. FireWire is dead now, but I mean, I still have my FireWire hard drives around. The laptop I have is from 2011, and its FireWire port still works. And so the great thing about FireWire was that you could daisy chain hard drives, and it was much faster than USB 2.0. USB 3.0 is faster than FireWire, but you can't daisy chain USB 3.0. And so what daisy chaining is when you have like 5 hard drives, but you only have one port on your computer. So with FireWire, you can connect your computer to one hard drive, then you connect the other hard drive to the hard drive you connected onto your computer, and just keep going, for those 5 hard drives. And so with daisy chaining, you don't need a lot of ports on your computer, because with FireWire, 90% of the time when you buy a hard drive, it will always come with 2 ports, one for going to your computer and one for connecting to another hard drive. And so I'm like, just on my own, I could have 3 hard drives all linked to each other, and then it goes straight to the computer, and the computer sees them all as it's each own drive. You can do things independent of each other. It slows things down a little bit, but not noticeably. It's still faster, a lot faster than USB 2.0. So because of this daisy chaining, that's really perfect for video editing, and Apple people loved FireWire because of that. And so then Thunderbolt came out, and it was like the new version of FireWire. It's no relation to FireWire. It's something completely different. It's an Intel technology that's it takes like aspects of fiber and kind of converts it. It's a fiber-based technology, but it can also be used with copper wire, if that makes sense. So you get like 10 gigabits. It's fast enough where you could connect an external graphics card to your computer, and so that's pretty fast. It's up there with like PCI. I don't know if it's PCI 12, but it's fast. And so with Thunderbolt, you can connect to a hard drive, and then have that hard drive connect to another hard drive. But in addition to that, at like your last hard drive, you can connect that to your monitor, and so it has enough throughput that it acts as a display port and as a data cable. And so it was supposed to be good, but then nobody really adopted Thunderbolt. Like, there were all these wonderful things you could do with it, but manufacturers just stayed away from it. So all these accessories that Apple said would be coming out never really came out. Then Thunderbolt 2 came out. Oh, and first off, all the accessories that did come out for Thunderbolt 1 were extremely expensive. Extremely. Like, if you wanted a Thunderbolt adapter to USB 3.0, it was like $60 or $70. It was not cheap for like basic things. And then the stuff that they were promising you could do with Thunderbolt, like there was this dock that I wanted to get for my laptop just to prolong its life. And so you would plug the Thunderbolt cable to this dock. And it's not like a dock you put your computer in, it's just like a data dock. So you plug in the Thunderbolt, then it has 2 HDMI ports, so you can go to 2 different displays, and then it had an eSATA port and a FireWire port. It had 2 FireWire ports, and then it had a couple of USB 3.0s. And that would have been perfect, and I wish I got it at the time, but it was like $270, and I was like, I'll get it when it goes down in price. And so I just haven't been able to find that dock anymore. And in addition to that, a lot of the stuff is USB 3.0, which they went away with the form factor. So Thunderbolt 2 and 3, the cables were compatible with each other. But with Thunderbolt 3, it's a USB 3. It's built into USB 3. So it uses the same cable as a USB 3 cable, which is so stupid. And that also means that it won't work with Thunderbolt 1 or 2 because they're different shaped connectors. So that is just the biggest headache. And then when Apple went to with their MacBook Pros only USB-C, I'm just like, I was done. I was like, that's it. I'm sorry, Apple. And then it was funny because they did that, and then they announced that their phone was not going to have the headphone port, and it's just like, they're just, 1-2 punching me. I am possibly one of the biggest diehard Apple fans, and I don't know what they're doing. Like in elementary school, I was the guy who was like trying to convert all these Windows people into using the Mac, and I introduced my friend to the OS X, and he eventually got a computer, an Apple computer, kind of because of me, and I showed him what like my computer could do and everything. But it's just they're not making computers for me. They're not making like professional grade computers anymore. And it's for like, they're pretending they still make computers for, the prosumer, which is really what they did. They made professional grade hardware that, the average person could use and design things for. But now they're trying to like simplify things so much that I worry about it, because it's just like, I think it's like dumbing down the computer experience too much. I'm just talking from a hardware standpoint, that it's actually making it harder to use than the Mac hardware. Like, you have to get 30 different dongles, and they only give you two or four USB-C connectors, and then on top of that, the only way you can charge your laptop is with USB-C. So that means, that's just lame. They had the Maglite adapter, which was perfect, and like, it has saved my computer so many times, where it's a little magnet at the end of the cable, and it clicks into place and it charges your computer. And that's the power cord. So there's been a ton of times when like my dog, runs past the table and sends my power cord flying, and because it's a magnet, it just, the computer doesn't go flying across the room. It just unclicks and goes flying away, and that's computer saved. And so they got rid of that, and I was like, that was one of the best awesome features of the MacBook and the MacBook Pro and the MacBook. So that was like, what are you doing? So I'm holding on to my MacBook Pro from 2011. It's like the ideal piece of hardware. It has FireWire. It's one of the ones that came with a mechanical hard drive and a CD-ROM. And so what I did was I took out the CD-ROM and I put another drive bay in the laptop. So I right now I have an SSD in, which I replaced, which has made my computer, which is why my computer has survived so long. And so I put an SSD in, and then I put a 1 terabyte hard drive in where the CD-ROM used to go. So it's like, this thing is set. But and eventually I'm going to upgrade that 1 terabyte hard drive to something bigger. But I'm waiting for like when I'm going to do like more road trips and stuff. I don't know what is up with this. That's really not good. It's funny because all these are through the window, but we're not having the same color effects as we did last time. I think some of it is because it's also not dark and cloudy. Like this one, we're having the color issues, but the other ones we weren't having so much. They're building apartments. These people, you like cycle and then you go, throughout the city. And so it's like a bicycle that sits 7 or 8 people. I didn't think I actually got that shot. We were just driving by. And that is too funny. Oh, there they go. I think what happens is there's a section of the window that's really dirty. And this is that section. And it even messes with the color. When you're shooting through a window, and it depends on the tint of your window, but usually, and what I do is I set the white balance to flash, even though I'm not using the flash. And that's kind of the most accurate white balance setting for shooting through the window. Windows and cars, they block out UV light, but then they also add a slight different color. So it's not that it just darkens the light. It also shifts the colors around. I'm just smashing through these. This might be like the world's fastest stream. So, Project Newfoundland, Episode 5, finished rendering. And I have to upload it. Our internet was out all day today. And I got a little bit of stuff done. Like 90% of what I wanted to do today. Because today was kind of like a relaxation day. Not relaxing day. It wasn't relaxing. I still had a lot of work to do. But it was a day I wasn't gardening. My gardening is going to be picking up starting tomorrow. And so I had all this, plans of things I wanted to do. I had Mass Effect 2, the musical, to schedule for the public release. And I was supposed to do that today and then upload Project Newfoundland. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to upload it tonight, and then it will come to Patreon on Friday, and then a week later, a little more than a week later, it will come to the public and to Twitch. And I'm going to be doing a new format of live streaming, where it's going to be kind of like the reruns, but it's going to be even more produced, where it's there's going to be kind of like a schedule to things. So after each video, I say, okay, this is what's coming up next, and like a little preview of everything, and things like that. So it's gonna kind of be like the earlier. It's gonna be a combination of like the pre-stream and reruns, and it's gonna be better than ever. So there's that, and I'm working on it. The issue is I don't want this new format for streaming. I don't want it to run off my Windows PC, so I have to I'm configuring. I configured it a little bit today, but I have to keep configuring my Linux box, and the Linux box is actually going to stream those new format of streaming, and it's just for streaming produced content, like things I've edited, like actual final projects, and documentaries and everything. So that's going to be happening. The first time I'll probably use it is when Project Newfoundland Episode 5 becomes public. And so then I'll start it and it will stream, Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 3, Episode 5, and then we'll go to live to tape and stream them. But in between each video, there'll be like a little explanation and kind of sneak previews of what's coming out next. So it's going to be, a lot of fun. So even though it's not live, it will still be like original content each time. Do. There we go. And so my internet is working kind of oddly. It did drop a couple of frames. Not a couple, it dropped like 600 all at once during the pre-stream. So it's working a little bit better now. But occasionally there's a hiccup. So I'm sorry if it gets laggy. Oh, and so then the other story about the hard drive, I never finished. So it's kind of like a RAID hard drive, but when you connect to the computer has no idea that it's two hard drives combined into one. It just sees it as one hard drive. And so that was the story with FireWire, is the hard drive has the FireWire ports, so I can connect to the Mac, and then I can connect to my portable hard drives, which all have a FireWire port. So I can daisy chain my portable hard drives and the big hard drive. and so that it's a lot faster because I can copy, and when I go out and travel, I copy everything to the portable hard drive, and then when I get home, I could copy it to the big hard drive, and it's the correct connected right together, and it's like easier. I don't have to worry about extra USB ports, but for when I connect it to Windows, I connect it using eSATA. And eSATA is just a different connector. It's the exact same thing as a SATA connection to the motherboard. They changed the connector, but the eSATA cable is it's really sensitive. And so that's probably why eSATA never really took off. Was because it's just if you touch the cable, it disconnects. It's really easy to break the cable. The cable falls out of either ports on the PC or the cable actually falls out easily, and it doesn't really lock in. So it's a couple of design problems with eSATA, but it's one of the faster connectors. It's like you're connecting a hard drive directly into the motherboard, because that's exactly what you're doing. It goes straight to the motherboard. And then and so I would connect this bare hard drive, and no matter what I did, Windows would never see it. It would never load into the operating system. And so then I was rendering Project Newfoundland with my PC booted into Linux, exact same PC. It's a dual boot, and I was like, I wonder if the hard drive will work in Linux. So I plugged it in, and 2 seconds later, the hard drive comes up. Windows sees it. Linux sees it fine, and so I was like, okay, so this is a Windows problem, not a hard drive problem. I thought the hard drive, the SATA port on the hard drive didn't work anymore. So then when Project Newfoundland finished rendering, I booted into Windows, and I went into the device manager. I was like, if it's not working under Windows, and it used to work under Windows, something must have changed with the drivers with an update, because this hard drive used to work with Windows no problem. And then so I changed it. Again, I had no internet, so I couldn't find the manufacturer's drivers or anything. But just with the kind of standard drivers that were installed with my computer, and I tried it. It worked. And so I unselected the Microsoft driver, and then Microsoft had another driver that they wrote, and it was for hardware accelerated virtual drives. And I was like, I don't want to try this driver in case it doesn't work and it messes up the hard drive. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try. And so I clicked it, and so this driver is it's meant for virtual machine hard drives connected to the computer. And I tried it, and it worked. The second I switched to that driver, the hard drive popped up. I was like, perfect. And so then I was working on the secret project, which I'm going to be releasing to Patreon only, the behind the scenes stuff. But and so I loaded the Lightroom files, and then I had it computing all the previews and everything, so it works better when I'm streaming to tape or to Patreon. And excuse me. And so And so it did that, and it was so fast. It went through like 1,700 photos and rendered the previews for all of them, and it did it in like 15 minutes. It was just, and that's fast for what these photos were of. And so that was good, that the hard drive finally worked with eSATA, because the hard drive was recognized under Windows, but only if I used USB, and the USB port on the hard drive is 2.0. It came out before 3.0 was really widely available. And so it's like, I'm not editing a project on USB 2.0. There would be so much lag. It would just be frustrating. And like, the more there's lag, the more there's a chance that, your project's gonna crash. So you really don't want something that increases, the probability of crashing. And then, and so I plug in, so I have the external hard drive in, and then I have a hot swappable bay, and that's how I'm editing this project. Like Project Newfoundland has its own hard drive, Live to Tape has its own hard drive, but they're all internal hard drives. And with this hot swappable bay, it's exactly like the cartridge system in the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. You just slide in the hard drive, and you close the lid, and then it connects through SATA directly to the motherboard. And so then the hard drive pops up. Windows thinks it's a removable hard drive, and it's just as fast as an internal hard drive, because that's what it is. And it also saves a bunch of money, because like I order 3 terabyte hard drives, and I order from a company that sells generic hard drives, and so it's $50 for 3 terabytes, and they're Hitachi hard drives, so they're pretty good. Hitachi is like the standard hard drive for manufactured computers, so like laptops and desktops. 90% of the time, if you get a pre-built computer, it has a Hitachi hard drive. So they're pretty trusted. But because it's not like a Western Digital or a Seagate or these other main name brand companies, usually the price is much lower. Like I used to be a big Western Digital person, and then I switched to Seagate, and now I just get this generic hard drive, the Hitachi. And like I said, it's $50 per hard drive, and then each hard drive is 3 terabytes. And so that saves you a ton of money, because if you go and buy a 3 terabyte external hard drive, it's like $115 minimum. And so that's saving you like $65 with each hard drive. And so what's nice about this hard drive system is I edit the project, then I eject the hard drive, and then I put the hard drive into my Linux box, which also has a hot swappable bay. And so the Linux box renders, on the project hard drive. And that's how I'm able to work on other projects while the other one is rendering. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll edit on like a bigger hard drive, a project, and then I'll have the kind of the render environment ready to go on another. And so I can like work on a project while like 5 other episodes for that same project are being rendered. Just saves a lot of time, because rendering takes too long. Whatever time rendering takes, it's always too long. These are two very similar photographs, but we'll leave them in because they're edited slightly different. The eagle and the rainbow. And the peace dove. I'm bringing down the bright. Yeah, I like how it was shot. So we're almost done. It's taken us like 40 minutes to do 60 photos. I believe it's 61. And so the next one is 46 photos. And this photo is not out of focus, it's just a blurry image from motion blur. I'm taking a picture on a roundabout. I'm not driving while I'm taking these photos. I want to be clear, I'm in the passenger seat. And there we go. And so that's why it's like a slightly different angle. We're going around the roundabout. And I got a couple of bikers. This image needs help, a lot of help, and I don't know how to help it. I knew we'd get to a challenging one. There have been like not several, but like 5 or 6 images where I was just like stumped on how to fix. Okay. So I'm going to increase the fill light, the exposure, make it brighter that way. Then we're going to bring down the darks. And you can see, for whatever reason, well, because I'm shooting through the window and this section of the window was dirty, but it's just like everything that's dark is like right here. So it's essentially it just goes gray and then nothing. So we're gonna tell it to like make everything that's gray, make it actually dark. And so that way we're increasing the contrast. So this, because it's so hazy, we're actually cutting down on the haze by making the things that are bright extremely bright, and making the things that are like very lightly dark, we're actually making them black. And so that's how we're able to fix this. And okay, and there we go. that we know the secret, we can duplicate it on these other images. And bring up the brightness a little bit. There we go. Picture of the side rail. Not really intended, but it works. And there we go. I'm like really happy that these hazy photos are coming out pretty well. There we go, and last one. Last one for this section, not the last one of the stream. Okay. Now we're moving to the very last one. So I went to the movie theater tonight and we saw The Dawn Face. And it's about these climbers that climbed this part of El Capitan in Yosemite, and it was really good. There's like a whole bunch of routes you can take climbing Yosemite, and each one they're all extremely difficult. Yosemite is like the hardest place to climb, like in the world. And they were doing free climbing, no tools. They don't chisel into the rock or anything like that. They only climb using their hands, and then they have the rope system that they use in case they fall. But it's just you don't chisel your way up. You just find the cracks and everything. And so there was this section of Yosemite called the Morning Face, which is the side that the sun shines on first. And so climbers have never been able to climb up that way because it's just too difficult. So this guy, he studied it for like 10 years and started to make the climb, and it took him like 19 days to climb up the mountain. But him and his partner were able to do it, and they were the first ones. So that's cool. And not only that, spoiler alert, but before he climbed, he had an accident where he lost his fingers. So it's like one of the most important fingers for climbing. And he lost it, and so he did an impossible climb that everyone thought he was crazy for doing, and he did it with a missing finger. Like, he was a really accomplished climber when he had all his fingers, but when the other climbers and his colleagues heard that he lost his finger, they're like, oh, his career's over, he has to go find something else to do. And so it was a really fun movie to watch, and so I'm gonna write a review for it. And I also have to write the review for Christopher Robin, because that was a good movie. It was a little dark, but it was really intensely good. it was like of the level of a monster calls, where like there was several points where I was just like almost in tears. No, I was in tears, but like almost in ugly tears. But yeah, it was really good. And I'm like a huge fan of Winnie the Pooh. I grew up with him. One of my favorite books is The Tao of Pooh, and it's just explaining philosophy. But instead of the author like explaining it to you, the author is explaining it to Winnie the Pooh, and it's just really cute and a lot of fun. And it's a short book, and so I highly recommend The Tao of Pooh. And then yeah, of course I grew up with the good cartoons of Winnie the Pooh. It was like Winnie the Pooh and Sesame Street. Those were my big favorites. And the Muppets. Muppets is totally different from Sesame Street. And this was actually the last day. I mean, not only was it the last day, this was actually driving out of Milwaukee. I had driven by myself on the last night. Excuse me. And I found this, huge, like architecturally incredible, like group of buildings. And so on the way out, I was like, oh my goodness, we're actually leaving, on that same street. So I told my mom, I was like, I know the navigation says get on the freeway, but just go straight. And like we found this college, we found all this, incredible architecture. So this is literally, out of the hotel to drive back to Michigan. And we found all this, really cool architecture. And the whole time I'm filming it with the camera on the roof, which is something else we're gonna have to edit as well. And those edits, they're not gonna be going to quotations; they're gonna be going to live to tape. And it's gonna be same with the roof cam photos. Well, I mean the roof cam for. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this. It is out of focus. Beyond repair. But, I mean, this one's out of focus too, but that's okay. But, for the New York project, I have a ton of roof cam footage. And so that's going to be going to live to tape as well. And it's going to be similar to story time. The documentaries I'm going to be doing with the Milwaukee Project and with the New York Project. They're going to focus a little bit on history and like significant facts about each location, but they're primarily going to be stories that happened around the city and the area and the state. It's just that I enjoy doing stories and narrative content so much more than like the hard facts, and it took me a while to discover that, because I was like, why do I enjoy writing for live to tape so much more than for Project Newfoundland? And then eventually I figured it out, and I was like, I'm just dealing with hard facts with Project Newfoundland. So that changes. Episode 5 of of Project Newfoundland, which is coming out to Patreon and then to Flotations on YouTube and eventually to Twitch. It is more story based. It's more narrative, and I enjoyed it a lot more writing and creating it. And not only that, not only does the audio content and quality get a lot better in Project Newfoundland. With each episode, the audio is getting better and better as I'm like actually learning what I'm doing. But the photography is getting a lot more surreal. There's a lot more sunsets and more traveling around. Episodes 1 through 4 were just getting the audience used to 3D, getting used to the Cabot Trail and Nova Scotia and Cape Breton Island. But now it's starting to get where it's more artsy and more into the woods and more nature and everything. And so that's going to continue up for a while in the next couple of episodes. And then eventually we're going to be going into Halifax, Nova Scotia. So those group of episodes will be kind of cityscapes and architecture. And then after Halifax, then the journey goes to Newfoundland. And yeah, Newfoundland's going to be awesome. And there was so much good footage from Newfoundland. And so Project Newfoundland is going to be about 20 episodes. And so we have a ways to go. I'm hoping that eventually Project Newfoundland will start coming out twice a month. But that's not going to be anytime soon. What has to happen is I have to write the script for the Milwaukee Project, this project we're working on, and then have to start writing a lot for the New York Project, and then it's probably around like episode 9 or 10 of Project Newfoundland. It will switch over to twice a month, but not until then. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, that looks the best. Or does it? I think shade looks the best. I'm shooting through the window again of the car, which is why the colors are harder to adjust. And they look a lot different. So we're like almost done. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. I know I'm not finished yet. But I do creative streams. I mostly do creative streams. But I do some video game streams on the side. I play video games live on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So tomorrow we'll be continuing ODST, and I'm like playing with like a ton of skulls. I'm playing it on easy, but you know it is really challenging with all the skulls I have on. Oh, and this, going back to the photography, this is like the square I discovered. That was like, it was really cool with all the architecture and everything. But we are continuing ODST. After we finish ODST, the gaming live streams, we're going to go to Halo 3 and then Halo 4. We're doing the entire Master Chief collection. I already streamed Halo 1 and 2. So that's what's happening Tuesdays and Thursdays. I start sometime between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. It's kind of flexible. My schedule is kind of flexible because I don't know when everyone settles down. My mother and I take care of my grandmother. That's kind of like once everyone, once my grandmother gets to bed and the dogs and everyone gets situated, then I'm able to stream. So that's why there's such a wide range of sometime between 9 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. But like I said, I mostly do creative. So I do creative streams Wednesdays and Fridays. And when I have a ton of work to do with photography and everything and art, then I stream Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So most of the time I'm streaming every day, and the majority of time it is a creative stream. So I just want to say thanks for coming out. We're not over, but if you stayed this long, thanks. Now we're leaving Milwaukee. Oh man, and I have some media. I've been pushing it off, but for whatever reason some of the GoPro footage is missing. And I know why. One of the days the hard drive was having issues, and Windows was like, this hard drive is having problems. Would you like us to scan and fix? And I told you guys, you people, you folks, never trust Windows when it says scan and fix. But I was in a hurry, and I was like, it's not going to have any problems. Lies. It deleted, it didn't delete the directories this time, but it deleted, 8 or 9 folder contents. So it didn't delete the folder, it deleted everything in the folder when it tried to recover the hard drive, which is fine. I have it backed up, but the backups that I have don't have the file names, the correct file names. When I edit and everything, I give all the photographs a unique file name, and so I wrote a Python script, and I tell it, okay, append at the beginning of the file name, this text, and I say, this is GoPro footage from, August, 12th, and I say, this is GoPro. If it's for 3D VR, I write it, and then it pastes it in the file name, and it does it for the left camera and the right camera if it's 3D. And then if it's 4K footage, then I say, this is 4K. Or if it's from the JVC camera that does 3D, then I say this is JVC 3D. And so I do that because each photo has to have a unique file system, a unique file name. You can't have any collision, or else it'll have difficulties rendering, because the Linux box, once it renders, it'll be like, I don't know, which file you're talking about. If you have 2 or 3 files the same name. And so there's a chance it will get it right, but there's also a chance that it wouldn't. So, because it does it based on file name. And so you might be wondering, well, doesn't the camera, give it, a unique number to the photograph? And the answer is yes, it does. But with the GoPro, every time you put in a blank card, it starts at 1 again. So if you take 30 photos and then you save them for the day, and then you go to the next day and take another 30 photos, it's just 1 through 30, the file names. and then the JVC camera, it does do a unique photo name, but it does it till 999 photos. And then it goes back to photo 1. And so you might be thinking, oh, you never take 1,000 photographs. And the answer is I've done no, you've never taken 10,000. I was like, I have looped it through several times. And so each time I start working on a project, I give all the files the unique file names and everything. And so I have to go back and make sure they're exactly the same, because the GoPro things we selected have a specific name, and so they have to match up. So I'll probably do it either tomorrow or, well, I'll try to do it tomorrow, but I'll probably end up doing it, what is the word? Oh, Friday before the creative stream. I have an event, technically 2 events, that I'm going to go take pictures of tomorrow. They start at 4 and then they go till like 8 p.m. So I'm super excited for that. And then yeah. So I have that to do. That's why I said I might not be able to do as much file management, because again, I have to start gardening a lot more. I had to take a break while I was taking care of my grandmother solo, and nature doesn't wait for anyone. There's like a lot of work to do. Before I was like doing a really good job, and it's like hard work because I'm doing the job of like 4 to 6 people, and like I'm not even joking. I'm not saying that to like say, oh, I get so much done. I mean, I have to do what 6 people used to do by myself, and so it is very difficult. And so I've been like maintaining everything and doing like a slightly better job than the person before me, or the people before me. But I mean, it's long days. It's like 6 to 8 hours of intense manual labor, and it's getting easier. Like I'm working harder and smarter. I've gotten a lot of power tools that actually have helped tremendously. But yeah, so that's going to start coming back. So I don't have as much time to do offline creative work as I want, but it won't affect the streaming, because the streaming is like I do in my dedicated free time. I spend it with you, the people of Gotham. Okay, so I want to thank everyone for coming out. It's been swell. I'm doing Halo ODST tomorrow, starting probably around 10 or 11. The 2 events I do, it's going to about 8. And so I have to come back and then make sure everything's set in the project, and then we'll start ODST. I've been having a lot of fun with it, and doing all the skulls is it's hilarious. And that's what's happening tomorrow. And then the next day, Friday, I will be doing. I'll be back to doing creative stream, and we'll actually be assembling the projects and organizing the photos for the documentary film. So we're going to be back to working with Blender, And yeah, and so we'll kind of see how many episodes it shapes up to be. So I want to thank everyone for coming back. I wanted to tell you guys to have a good day, you folks. Almost done. I actually had this photo the way I liked it before. It's like so vibrant. Okay, I want to thank everyone for coming by. I'll see everyone tomorrow, hopefully. And have a good day. Bye-bye.